Okay. You have your agenda. Motion to approve.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Vick, second by Mr. Hart to approve. All in favor? Okay. Do we have any public comments signed up?
Here's the sign up sheet.
Okay, I'm sorry. Pam Ms. Stinson? If, you want, what we usually do, you can speak now, or you can wait till your item comes up and we'll give you time to speak then, if that's agreeable with you. Okay, and that way, sometimes when you hear the presentation, you may have a different question than you would in the dark, right? Is that agreeable with you? All right, thank you, mate. Don't serve me. I'm trying to get this done. All right. New business, special exception request, Steve Leopard, owner Brian Stevens and Paul Snook. Applicants, property is S1438 Highway 64 East, map 101, parcel 013.01, consisting of 3.69 acres, zoned A1. Staff.
Mr. Stevens, who resides on the subject property, proposes to partner with Mr. Snook in operating the business. Mr. Leopard, as owner of the property, has submitted a signed statement authorizing the applicants to pursue the proposed use. The business requires licensure by the United States Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearm, and Explosive, which in turn requires evidence of local zoning approval. The subject parcel contains approximately 3.69 acres. The site is located along a straight section of Highway 64 West with adequate visibility and favorable ingress and egress conditions. Off-street parking and dimensional characteristics appear sufficient to accommodate the request. The parcel also benefits from a substantial vegetative buffer along the east and north property lines, while the adjoining parcel to the west consists of approximately 8 acres in agricultural use. Based on staff review, the applicant criteria for approval are or can be satisfied, including signage compliance. Staff finds the request to be generally compatible with the surrounding area. No objection to
Mr. Chairman, may I ask some questions, please?
Please, Mr. Vick.
I have looked at this, and who is Mr. Snook? Okay. What is a firearms transfer business? Okay, so who is the owner of the property? And Mr. Leopard is here tonight? Does he live in Phoenix, Arizona?
Your intent is there'll be, when I'm using the term, there'll be no retail sales, no
sir.
outside traffic.
We will have no inventory.
No outside, no inventory on site.
No inventory at all.
But this will basically be only a billing business with no, actually the UPS will have to deliver the item to you and then you'll ship it.
It will have to be directly shipped to us.
Right.
We will have to
But that'll
personally
just be
sign
a
for it.
UPS, or whatever, common carrier, US mail.
Right.
But no traffic, no outside traffic.
No, sir. No retail at all. We will not have any inventory unless it's a product that comes in for transfer only.
Okay, can I go back? So as part of the application process, you have to go before the United States Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. That's correct,
sir.
And are all three of you on this application?
No, sir. Just me and Mr.
So the
Snook
owner
here.
of the property is not on the application?
No, sir. He is not part of the business.
But he owns the property that
Yes,
you're
sir.
on.
He does own the property.
So you're going to start a business that takes explosives and firearms under his, well, it says explosives right here.
That's
You're
the
under
name
that.
of the department.
Okay. So you're going to start a business in this house under
In
your
my
two
house.
name in his house. Now, do you guys shoot guns out there? Is that go on?
We have in the past. It's been quite some time.
Have like a target area that you shoot at? or
Yes,
you-
sir. I've got a steel backstop set up with adequate barrier behind it to prevent anything from leaving the property.
I pulled the GIS map, and it looks like there are farmland all around you in every area. And also, you're in a platted subdivision. Your lot is a platted subdivision. Are there any?
I'm curious as to what subdivision that would be.
Just happen to have a copy of it. It's
Okay.
called the final plat of the James A. Williams one-lot subdivision. It is in plat book J1, page 48.
Okay, I'll have to explore that. I was
So
not
you
aware
are
of that.
in a subdivision and you want to have a license with the Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. And
I'd be willing to bet the reason it's called the James Williams subdivision is because he subdivided the 8 acres to the east
that's why it's a
and had to name it
subdivision.
something.
Because you are on Highway 64, we also have school buses up and down through there. So if you're firing guns and you've got explosives and we've got school buses
May I
going through.
stop you there? We're
Mis-
not gonna have any
Wait
explosives.
a minute, okay, let's, they're not operating a range.
We're not
All they're
operating.
doing is, they're not, as part of this business, you'll be not firing any weapons, is that
No,
correct?
sir, we're not gonna allow any of our customers
Okay,
to fire
now,
a weapon on the property.
Commissioner Vick, let me clarify, do you want to restrict the landowner and renters from firing weapons on their property?
I am not convinced, number one, that the owner understands that he has 2 loans on this property. And if you look at number 5 in his loan documents about property insurance, does not allow for that to be rented out there unless he notifies the mortgage company. If you look at number 6, I see where an occupancy clause is in there, and number 21 specifically speaks to hazardous waste in his loan. So he is looking at default on his mortgages
Okay,
on it.
I'm curious about a few things here. What hazardous waste?
Do you think ammunition is a hazardous waste?
We're not transferring ammunition.
Collecting it, you said it's a
No, sir.
firearms transfer business.
Yeah.
You said you shot guns out there. I'm telling you this because this is the record, and I do this for a living, and when things
I'm
like
not
this
disagreeing
happen,
with you, sir.
then it's a problem with your owner and his mortgage company, and then we've got kids on the road, and then we've got letters from the neighbors who don't want that. So I'm not comfortable where we're going on this, and I appreciate the
I'm-
chairman's comments, and he's exactly right, but I'm still not comfortable with this.
Okay.
Let me, Randy, Frida, are y'all aware of the restrictions we've outlined? Is that compatible with what, Philip, in his letter, did we meet all those criteria when outlining?
I haven't reviewed any of what you're talking about, except the conversation right here. If that's what you're talking about. But I think that sort of goes in line with our attorney's. What he's asking.
Let me read that into the record. So we got it on the record, and that way and y'all also access to it. And, given the foregoing, my client's parents, gentlemen would, request the following. And that's, I think they're outlining and I think it met with y'all saying, no retail storefront open to the public, generally operated on the property. No signage related to business. No parking spaces or off-street parking. No for sale inventory of firearms and related merchandise kept on the property. And any customers would be by appointment only, and I don't, in other words, no walk-in retail trade.
No, sir.
Now, and did all those requests from Mr. Head's attorney, does that dovetail with y'all's exact business plan? Okay, all right. I wanted to make sure. Now, Randy, is that got you and Frida? Is that okay? I wanted that in the record, so we got Philip's letter outlining all of that. Okay, all right.
No.
It's not related. They're not going to. They're not part of.
Oh, we have no desire for a range.
If I can address this, ma'am, our gun range, zoning, in our zoning resolution, it's too small of a lot for them
Yeah,
to
it-
ever build one on. I think it's like 15 acres or more with very specific characteristics, and that could never happen at that location.
We have no plans to build a professional gun range out there anyway.
Don't have the funds to build one
We
either.
don't have the funds to do it either.
Okay.
Dear Zoning Board of Appeal members, I received your letter dated April 7th concerning the request of my neighbors on Highway 64 West to receive a special exception to establish a licensed professional office for firearm transfers. I'm sorry, but unable to be there for your meetings as I will be out of town on the trip of the day of your meeting, but wanted to share my concerns with the board. I adamantly oppose this request. We live a quiet farming area and already have to listen to nonstop shooting of high-powered guns. This is no place for a firearm store that sells high-powered weapons and those with silencers. This is a type of business that needs to be in a business district. We do not need such a commercial establishment in our agricultural community. And this is Dwayne Sullivan.
Dwayne, Mr. Sullivan. Okay, and I think if I get the gist of his letters, I think we've addressed those with. I think so. Okay. Mr. Vick, Commissioner Vick, do you have anything further?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've said all I want to say on that.
Where is the owner of the property? Did we hear from him? Or
He's
did I
currently performing a show in Phoenix, Arizona.
but that's not my problem. My problem,
understand
is he
that.
defending you, or he got something here to say to agree with what you say?
My landlord? He signed a letter stating he was okay with it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he is signed on, he's a part and party of the application. Anyone else here wish to speak? Get everybody? Mr. Head.
I guess I've asked you guys this. Assuming this is, we go with this, and then at some time, these gentlemen decide that, maybe it doesn't work for them, or they have other interests or whatever, how would that affect this property going, past their business? Because you're talking about a rental situation or a lease situation rather than an owner situation. And of course, owners can change their mind too. I'm just curious for that here, a little comment
Okay,
there.
all right, I'll let staff address that as you're concerned, Mr. Head, please.
Okay, so normally, if it's just a straight up special exception that's approved without any sort of conditions, it goes with the property just like a zoning would. So a future renter, a future owner, anybody would be able to, it would transfer to them, and they'd be able to do exactly the same thing. Not a modification of that, but exactly the right thing. But the BZA does have a provision, and you've used it once recently, where it says the board may establish expiration dates for the expiration of any special exception as a condition of approval. You can do that if you want to test the water with it, kind of stick the toe in the water, and then have them come back in a year if there's no complaints and everything's working smooth, and then move forward with a typical special exception. You have the authority to do that.
How long have you lived there?
Can I add something real quick?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Talking about possibly putting
Well, I don't vote. I'm not a
A
member of
time,
the board.
a time
I'm just
limit, I
staff.
think,
time limit.
time.
Yeah, I'm just
Well,
letting
the
them
time-
know. I'm letting them know what
the
the
ti-
options
it-
are.
Instead of being permanent, and I think if I remember my reading of it, what we can also do, instead of putting a time limit, we could restrict it specifically to your gentleman's operating the business. So if someone, y'all, if you chose to change the business, change your ownership, you would have to go through this again. In other words, okay.
With that, but may I make a suggestion? If you're gonna put that, that come back in a year review, the federal firearms license, which he was talking about, the FFL, that expires every 3 years. So if you could make it 3 years, then that way,
That wouldn't have anything to do with us.
well, what I'm saying is when you could you make your time frame for us to come back for a review equal to that 3 years? That way, when our license
I
is
wouldn't
up,
feel comfortable with it.
so
Mr.
it would be
Chairman,
1 year.
Let me interrupt for just a second. That does add a lot of context to the application, because if they were to get a 1-year authorization, the BATF probably wouldn't accept it because it's a 3-year license. So you would have to do it at least for 3 years if you approved it, if you wanted to do a temporary deal.
I think, Mr. Head, you were agreeable with, by putting the, either as our time limit or whatever, as long as it stays with these gentlemen, you're comfortable with, I think we've, dovetailed the restrictions or, in Philip's letter with what their business plan is. Yep. You,
But we are in agricultural.
you want your questions answered, and that's what we're here for.
If we're gonna have zoning, and Kenneth doesn't wanna hear this, if we're gonna have zoning, then we wanna do what zoning requires.
You're gonna say it anyway, right? I don't.
He's heard me say that 10,000 times.
All right, Kenan.
No signage, no parking.
Oh, no, I have no issue with that.
Okay, I wanna make sure y'all, that's why.
No.
I wanna make sure y'all,
No parking up the street, no customer
I make sure
parking,
we're all
no
on the same
retail.
page. Okay.
We weren't planning on that anyway.
That's one of the reasons we want to, no, that's one of the reasons we want to be by appointment only. So there's no retail, there's nobody showing up at all hours of the day. Oh, I have no desire to build a gun range, or a firearm range.
How are you with a 3-year thing rather than 1 year at a time?
I'm agreeable with 3 years. Oh, I'm sorry.
I understand the idea that their license would be for 3 years, and we really wouldn't have an issue with the 3 year, because, first of all, being the federal government, I don't think, if they could only have it for 1 year, I don't think the federal government would approve the license anyway, be my take on that. No, they wouldn't. I don't think so.
Any further questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I don't want this to appear that I am anti-gun or against what you got. I'm just pro-ag, and when I have neighbors who are farmers out there, I'm worried about them because they come first. And so, I mean, that just really concerns me that we're setting a situation in a neighborhood subdivision where we're putting hazardous material, whether it is or not, explosive material, and that gives me indigestion from a commission standpoint.
You're anti-firearm, anything like that. I understand your position. We also take safety of handling firearms, discharging firearms to the greatest regards. There's a simple saying, once you pull that trigger, you can't unpull it. And
Is excuse me, thank you, all right. As these firearms are shipped to you, is any ammunition shipped with them?
no, sir, we have no desire to handle ammunition.
All right, thank you.
Or explosives. That's a different license. That's a different license. Yeah, we're not applying for that
All right.
license.
What's your pleasure, board?
Well,
Mr. Chairman, based on the acceptance of the rules, I'm going, and of these 5 rules, and everybody has heard them, and I expect them to be abided by, I will make the motion that this be approved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Street to approve of the special exception for 3 years?
Yes.
A time period of 3 years, and that dovetails with your license. 3 years with the outline, his letter from Mr. Philip Head. I have a second. If I don't have a second, I'll need a motion to deny the application with a reason.
Move to deny.
I have a motion by Commissioner Vick to deny. Have a second. Have a second by Mr. Hart. All right, we'll vote. I'd get you to roll call, please. I'm gonna put your pressure on you. An aye, let me repeat, an aye will be a motion to deny the application. A nay will be a motion to not deny the application. And that, the motion will, the item will be back on the floor again. Okay. Are we clear how your vote is? Or, Madam Secretary? No. If you vote aye, you're moving to deny the application. If you vote no or nay, you're moving to not approve, the not approve. the
I see
denial.
the handwriting on the wall, I'm gonna vote no.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
So I have 3-2. Motion fails. Am I correct? We correct on that? Motion fails. Items back on the floor.
Chairman, there has to be a motion. Is there a motion on the floor right now?
No motion on the floor. The motion to deny failed. So, and by our rules, we can't just walk, I think y'all do this in the commission too. You can't walk away from it. We can't kick it down the road. It's still got the motion still is active. The item's on the agenda, waiting for a motion.
I would move we defer for 30 days.
I have a motion to defer for 30 days, and I think that's within our rules. Okay. I have a second by Commissioner Hart. Y'all ready to vote? I'm gonna do a voice. All in favor? Aye. Aye, it was unanimous. We're deferred for 30 days. Okay?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna have to, I think I'm gonna have to go to another meeting. I got another meeting to go to, but you got good, yeah, you're in good hands.
Donald Keith White, 560 Shipman Creek Road, tax map 116, parcel 011.05, 4.66 acres, zoned A1, wants a special exception for a short-term rental Airbnb. Staff.
Based on staff review of the general requirements, criteria for review, and applicable specific use regulations, staff has identified no apparent barriers to approval of the request. If approved, staff will provide the applicant with all applicable operational and regulatory requirements and will perform any required inspections to ensure compliance.
Mr. Chairman, I've got to leave.
Okay, wait, if you hang on a second, I'll let you vote on this one. Okay. Any further comments from the audience? Do I entertain a motion?
Staff has no objections for
Okay.
approval.
Entertain a motion?
Move to approve.
Have a motion by Commissioner,
We have
Brothers?
We have a whole bunch of letters.
Whole bunch of letters.
I'm sorry.
I know, we got to that part, but.
Oh, you didn't inform me of it.
Are you guys here to speak? Like, okay, so you're the
They're the
Whites.
applicant. Okay.
So the
are-
Whites have showed up, so we need to give them a chance to speak, but we have a lot of letters. And
Okay,
so,
all right. Commissioner Vick? I thought we were smooth here. I was not informed we had letters not released. All right. All right, so we have, written letters that have arrived. Any verbal communications other than the letters?
not really, they called, and then I think, honestly, I think most of these are direct, one person got most of these written, so there's two. From Willis Gray regarding the zoning change. I am the property owner next door to Mr. White. I am providing this as an opposition to the zoning request change to allow a special exception for Mr. White's property to allow short-term rental. I'm concerned about the impact that allowing short-term rentals on Mr. White's property could have on my property value and the security of my property. I currently have unmonitored farm equipment on my property. Since I do not reside at that property at this time, I am concerned that the transient nature of a short-term rental could bring in people to the area that will venture onto my property and destroy or vandalize my equipment and or the bridge or fire pit area. Thank you, Willis Paul Gray, owner of 556 Shipman Road. Yeah, where's it? And then we have Linda Carpentier. And she's, I think, she's the one that initially called, and then I think she had other people write in, because they're all the same. All the other ones are the same. But dear members of the board, I'm writing to formally express my opposition My family and I lived in this area for 7 years. We chose it for its quiet rural setting and still being close to town. That balance is important to us and to the residents who reside on the property. The property is zoned A1, which is intended to preserve rural characters and low-density residential use. A short-term rental is not a traditional residential use and instead functions more like a transit commercial lodging operation. According to the Bedford County zoning resolution, short-term rentals and bed and breakfast type are subject to strict limitations and are not permitted in certain areas, including subdivision-specific development types. This reflects the county's intent to carefully control where these uses are appropriate and to prevent conflicts with much established residential areas. Additionally, uses that require special exception must be compatible with the surrounding area. So she just kind of went down our zoning. Traffic and infrastructure problems, noise and disturbances, safety and security, precedent for future requests. While I respect the property owner's right, a short-term rental is more appropriately considered a commercial use rather than a residential one. If the property is to be rented, a long-term rental would be far more consistent with the zoning and established characters. I respectfully request that the board deny this. Sincerely, Lyndon Scott Carpentier, 562 Shipman Creek Road.
Mr. White, I think you've heard these concerns, and if you would just kind of outline your business plan for this Airbnb, or if y'all are going to reside on the property, or.
Sure. Basically, we're just looking to open up my home to people coming in, visiting for, say, for instance, a celebration or other horse shows and things like that. And it's a nice accommodation. And I think that we could provide, a place for folks to stay.
Y'all are going to reside at the same location or the same
Yeah,
house?
I live there, but we're looking at making it an Airbnb. Yes.
Are you going to continue? Are y'all going to continue?
I will continue to live there until we find out if this is going to pass and all that kind of stuff. Right.
Okay. All right. No
Depends on the interest in the property, in the rental.
How many people are you expecting on your Airbnb? You get to choose how many people can stay. Like, have you determined 8?
Well,
10?
I mean, we can accommodate 10 easily.
Okay, but that's not unreasonable. But 10 would be where you stop.
Yes.
Okay.
How many? Give me an idea of square footage of your present house.
2,400 feet.
24, 3-bedroom.
3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths.
Okay.
The acreage of your property?
4.7, I believe.
And I think.
Where is this located in, say, the relation to Granny Fishes?
I'm about a mile and a half down the road from Granny Fishes going towards Tullahoma. South
You're
south
mile
of
and a
Granny
half
Fishes.
Down the road.
I'm
County line.
almost midway between Granny Fishes and Ledford Mill.
Okay, thank you.
Or you're almost out of Bedford County.
Yeah, I'm a tenth of a mile from Bedford County, the Moore County line.
Moore County. I guess
Yeah.
that is Moore County. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the neighbors' concerns are the traffic, people wandering off the property. How would you intend to address this to keep people, I'll use the word constrained, within the property boundaries?
Well, I don't know that you can constrain them, but I mean, my vision is to vet out, any people who might be, undesirable. I would want to rent to people who are, stand-up citizens, and they're not going to go in. I don't want them to go in and tear my house up either. So I'm not going to rent to someone, that's going to be like that. Somebody, I want to rent to people who are going to be respectable and upstanding.
And it wouldn't be long-term, like, just bed and breakfast would be like a weekend.
Yes. I mean, like I said, my main goal is to open it up for, say, the celebration. And, they come in and stay for the 10 or 11 days for the celebration. And,
Is there any outside activities at all? Communication bans, anything that disturb the neighbors rather than just general in and out?
No, sir.
And on his, you have a lot of woods on your
Yes, sir.
property. I have a recommendation, and I'll recommend this to any time we have one with woods. I would take and use purple paint and spray, like if somebody's walking off your property at the end of the line, I'd paint those trees purple. And then in your listing, say, our property, if you see purple trees, that's our property line. Because when we first moved here, we have a neighbor that did Airbnb, and they were using our property, and we were frustrated. But once we straightened it up with them, I don't know if it's a long-term rental or short-term rental. They had not bothered us. And like you said, there's a lot of people that come in for just business. And so I was worried about it. So, but I do think the purple
Yeah,
paint
I
idea would be
have-
something that would help you.
Yeah,
And so that's just a thought.
I have no problem
Well, I'm
with that.
just concerned being a hollow, which everything carries everywhere, that there be no outside bands or anything entertainment, because I know celebration people, but
No,
I'm
sir.
just.
No, we won't be having any barn
They
parties.
leave here in 10 days. They just didn't want anybody to be disturbed by, stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
And,
Why,
yeah,
why don't we, I think Chris's idea, and I think we did this on another Airbnb, and to address the neighbors' concerns, I think they're concerned about maybe to do a year thing, and then come back if we don't have any complaints or everything. I think the idea, we make that part of the approval as far as, we use the term clearly delineating property boundaries, and make that part of your package that they stay on the property so they don't disturb the neighbors, and perhaps do it for a
And
year.
I think that's a learning experience for y'all and us as well. Probably you more.
yes, sir, I agree, yes.
And that may help you delineate your business plan a little bit better. And I think when we did that before, if you come back in a year and we've had no complaints or whatever, I think there's not a fee. We just approve it as doing a timeline, we do it permanent. And that also lets your neighbors have input too, if they have any concern.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I'm in agreement with that.
okay. Any further letters?
No, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Hart to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brothers. All in favor? And aye. That's approved for 1 year. All right, thank you, Mr. White.
Thank you.
Sorry, pardon me. Pamela Stinson, 3396 Vincent Midland Road, tax map 030, parcel 009.06, 5.0 acres. And this is a request for a side setback variance due to a building being repurposed. Staff.
Okay, this one's a little bit complicated. The applicants purchased the property on Midland in 2018, and thereafter constructing an agricultural building approximately 12 feet from the side property line. At the time of the construction, the structure was representative as an agricultural building for livestock use and was therefore treated as exempt from building permitting and residential code compliance. Subsequently, the applicants experienced a serious medical issue involving the husband, which required accommodations including wheelchair accessibility. According to the applicants, this life-changing circumstance caused him to abandon their plan to construct the main residence on the property and instead convert the agricultural structure into living quarters. This conversion occurred without first obtaining zoning or building permits. Later, when the applicant sought a permit for additional accessory structure, the zoning office was unable to issue the permit because the original structure had been converted into a dwelling, and therefore was not lawful in compliance. Upon further investigation, we determined that structure is located approximately 12 feet from the side property, which would 10 feet side setbacks for accessory buildings, but a residential building needs 25 feet. If the board approves the requested variance, staff would be able to proceed with zoning review, after which the applicants would still be required to obtain a building permit and bring the structure into compliance. The building is located approximately 110 feet from the nearest neighbor's residence. So with the side setbacks on the smallest lots, houses could be 50 feet close. And so this one's 110 feet.
I think we have your map where it's marked, and that's an accurate representation of where the building's sitting. And it's actually behind the adjoining building. We have a letter from the adjoining neighbors?
Pointing at the wrong one. That picture.
Yeah, I figured that, but, okay. You also have a letter from adjoining neighbors?
Yes, sir.
I think we all read it. It was from your adjoining close neighbor, and they had no objection to it. And I think we had access to that, and I think all of us read it before that. All right,
Yes.
Mr. Street, you have a question? You want to start, just go ahead. We heard you.
Yes, go ahead. I'm gonna make a motion it be approved, just that simple.
All right.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Let me ask one question. Down the road, if someone wants to come in and build a house, we need to, all the mechanism for this is we just transfer this over and they won't have two things.
That's correct. Well,
Okay.
it would either go to they would take the full bath out and it would just become accessory structure, and then it would be in compliance.
Okay, you understand what I'm saying for down the road, but for right now. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve a side setback variance on this property. And that will clear everything. They'll be able to get through. 13 feet side back. Is y'all ready to vote? All in favor? Aye. Pass unanimously. Thank you very much. All right. You're clear. Anything, staff, you have anything else?
No, sir, I do not. I appreciate you guys' work tonight.
You gotta get to the meeting too?
No, sir, my hot tub is waiting.
How big's your hot tub? All right, I have a motion.
It's
to
a
adjourn. I have a
two-person.
sec- oh. No, we'll have to charge you extra for food, what do you call that? Trip advisor. I have a motion, a second to adjourn. All in favor? Pass unanimously.